Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle in the Built for Tough Studios. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on Twitter at ConRadicalness. Follow me on Instagram, new_ConRadicalness. Join now, as usual, after last week he was on the road with the team, but Mike Wallace is back. Follow him on Twitter. My Mike Check. Mike, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great, man. It's going great. I'm glad to be back, man. Another good show. I'm sitting there listening to it in my car, driving around, and you know what I'm saying, you and Sherm chopping it up, man, and the homecoming do's or don'ts had me rolling. And then y'all looked up and was like, oh, damn, the show, we've been talking for an hour. I'm like, all right, these dudes are having fun, man. That's what it's all about for sure.
Yeah, we'll get your thoughts on. I wanted to ask you some of the homecoming do's and don'ts since you weren't here last week. We'll talk about that. We'll also obviously preview this week's games. There are a couple of really big, important games. Tennessee State has a big game.
Yes.
South Carolina State and North Carolina Central are going to be playing a big game. If you're alive in the SWAC West, guess what? You're playing a big game this week. Every game is a big game in the SWAC West. We'll take a look at that. Mo Carter's going to join us, friend of the show, family member of the show. He's going to join us in the next segment, and we're going to talk more SWAC football with him. He's on call for some pretty big game this weekend as well.
Yep.
Mike, before we get to all of that, homecoming. You got a homecoming memory for me?
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. I got a homecoming memory. I can't, and it might have been my first homecoming at Grambling State University, right? Campus is shut down. You can't get either way on the interstate on I-20 going either way. And you know, if you're familiar with Grambling State University, and you know, Grambling sits right between Monroe, Louisiana, and Shreveport, Louisiana. And if you go a little bit further, it's Jackson going east, and then it's Dallas going west. Ice Cube just dropped a double platinum album, and then he's making his rounds, and he's in Grambling for homecoming. And every single blood and Crip from California, from Arkansas, if y'all, hey, anybody who was on Grambling's campus 92, 93 know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was my first taste of homecoming as a freshman. And being in that environment where you couldn't move, you couldn't get, and I want to say it was homecoming, but I'm sure somebody out there is going to correct me and say it was Spring Fest. So it's one of the two.
Gotcha.
But just being on the campus at that time, man, and knowing, okay, is it going to be like this every weekend? I'm definitely staying. Grandma, I'm staying. You ain't got to worry about Mike coming back to D.C. now from that standpoint. So, nah, man, just the love, just the excitement and the adrenaline. And, you know, every hotel is booked up. There's a party around every corner. There's a party out on every street corner. And it's just nothing but love, man. So, and at that time, yes, there was a violent aspect to it, you know, probably a shooting or a couple fights. And if you can get through that, you're fine. I also remember that same weekend, we're hanging out in front of the girls' dorm, and I'm going to hurry up with this one, but we're hanging out in front of the girls' dorm, and it was right where the football stadium was at the time. And then all of a sudden, 2 people start running. Then 6 people start running.
Oh.
Then 20 people start running. And by the time the crowd is coming towards you, 1,000 dudes is just running, right? And we don't even know what we're running for, right? But we just know we're running because everybody in front of us is running. So you turn around and you start bailing, and you assuming, all right, somebody done bust off some shots, so it got pretty bad. But it's just, hey, you just don't know. You just react. And I just remember being in that environment. I'm like, man, what are we running for? But you knew to run, you know what I'm saying?
Listen,
and figure it out later.
If one person start running, I'm going to run. They not running for no damn reason, right? Whatever's coming to get them is damn sure probably going to try and get me also.
They ain't practicing track right now.
I don't need
track
no
practice over
explanation, nothing
with.
like that. I'm good to go. On the subject of, because this has been a conversation that has popped off on social media, this was something that we talked about last week. So if you missed it, you can hear what Sherman and I think about this particular topic. On the topic of taking your spouse to homecoming. Would you do that? Have you done that? Is that a do or don't of homecoming for you?
Ooh, and I heard you guys talk about it. So if you hadn't checked out that episode, go back for sure.
My wife listened to the episode.
Because it's timeless. It's a timeless episode.
She listened to it, and she was mad at me all over again. I forgot about the homecoming hugs. There's something different about homecoming hugs. I got caught with a homecoming hug, and almost lost my life twice. My mom was there and my wife was there. And they're like, what are you doing?
See, that's going to be the episode that keeps on giving, because we're going to be talking about those homecoming do's and don'ts for a while, man. But I want it to be a quick answer to this, but it can't be a quick answer
you got
because
time. Like Mo's not coming on for like 10 minutes.
I'm saying in terms of like explaining it, but they're different layers to this.
Yes.
Because do you bring your spouse or significant other to homecoming if she's an HBCU grad as well? Now, there's a different layer there when you're talking about HBCU to HBCU couple, right? Because then she kind of knows what to expect. Because it's going to be flipped the other way when you go to her homecoming. Right? So
I got a good buddies of mine is a Tennessee State Lemoyne couple. And he'll go to Tennessee State's homecoming and be upset that she hugging people, and she'll go to Lemoyne's and be like, yo, why she looking at you like that, dog? What's going on?
Because everybody, and listen, look, everybody that you hug is probably somebody you got with. That's what your other person is thinking.
Yeah.
Every person. Let me see who he was with or who she was with and all of that, because it's college, man. It is what it is. I haven't had the experience where I brought my wife or significant other back to Grambling. I hadn't done it yet. I just hadn't been to many homecomings to do it. But I definitely know the environment that could be a problem. That could be a problem.
I'm not in one of the organizations, one of the Divine Nine. You're not either.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
I think that, because somebody brought this up to me in passing, I think that even if you didn't go to HBCU and you were in one of those type organizations coming to homecoming, you could find your people there and hang out. And I brought up the fact, like, yo, I said it on the show, HBCUs are an extension of black culture. If you're black, you step on campus, even though you might not know all of the inside jokes, you fit in just because you're black. Lemoyne Owens homecoming was, I do believe, this past weekend.
Okay.
I had my brother-in-law came over and we watched some football on Sunday, and we were talking. He was like, yeah, Saturday night I was at Lemoyne Owens homecoming. Didn't graduate from Lemoyne Owens. I didn't go to a 4-year institution. He was just like, yo, my homeboy went to Lemoyne. He called me up and said that's where he was going. I said, bet I'm pulling up. And I just went. And
that's no credential whatsoever.
That's just one of the cool things about homecoming, man, especially with HBCUs. Like Lemoyne Owens means something to South Memphis and to those people who grew up in that community. It's like, oh, we're partying, we're celebrating us.
Man.
So, yeah, man.
Hey, let me add one more contribution to that, man, before we get to Mo on this, man, because one of the things that I like, you and Sherm did a great job of articulating what it was like, because another one was, do you go to someone else's campus for homecoming, right? And you guys both talked about that. And for me, I was at Grambling, right? I want to say it was my sophomore year at Grambling. And my high school prom date, my girlfriend in high school at the time, and again, we weren't like, our relationship didn't go from high school into college, because she ended up going to Florida A&M and from DC, and I went to Grambling from DC. And so, you know, we kind of stayed in touch when we would go back home to DC or whatever on the summers or breaks or whatever, but we never really, like, the relationship wasn't the same.
Got you.
So my boy, one of my homeboys at Grambling, was like, man, I'm seeing this girl at FAMU. We about to head down at they homecoming. I'm like, dude, like the homecoming is Saturday. Like today, Thursday. Like you ain't flying. Like,
you gotta drive down there.
And he was like, yeah, I got a car, man. We just gonna road trip it. He was like, you in? I was like, all right. So, dude, we driving from Grambling, Louisiana to Tallahassee, Florida.
What's the drive?
Oh man, it's not that. It's not quite that long, but it's in the teens.
I'll look it up.
It's in the teens, but we just go straight through. Like my dude is, man, he's pressed to go see this girl. So he on the wheel the whole time, right? He don't want to stop to eat. He don't want to stop to pee. He don't want to stop to do nothing but get gas. And so we get there, and I'm like, cool. My old chick is at FAMU too, so I'm a swing by and hit her up. I knew her address. I just rolled up. It's homecoming weekend. I rolled up to her crib. It's right off the set, right off the yard in FAMU. And her boyfriend at the time is at the crib. He's there. He's at her house.
Oh no.
So this is one of them houses where it's all, you know, like 5 girls live in one house or whatever, and the next door is a whole bunch of dudes living there. Okay. So her girls answer the door. They see me. They're familiar with me because, you know, obviously. Right. And so one girl holds me at the door. The other girl is dispatched to go get, you know, my ex-girlfriend at the time to tell her that, hey, Michael's at the door. And she's like, who? Michael's at the door. Oh, snap. Her and her boyfriend are there just kicking it. Dude ends up leaving. And I come in.
Does he know he's leaving?
Huh?
Does he know why he's leaving?
Hey, that's still a 25-year-old story, man. 20, 30-year-old story at this point. 30-year-old story. Damn. So we get there and we just kick it like for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm there because I'm due from home, right?
Right.
And he's due from school.
Right.
And when you at homecoming, man, those are just the rules, man. So look, hey, that's a long way to tell a story.
Unwritten rules of homecoming.
We connected that weekend, and then we went back to our lives and did our things, man. So it was a homecoming, man. We did a road trip. We got there, and then Saturday night, Sunday morning, we got up and drove all the way back to Grambling, man. We were exhausted. But it was fun as hell because I don't think we slept at all for 3 straight days.
Those be the good college weekends.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
I can't let my kids hear that. I can't let my kids hear this episode this coming week. So when it drops, this one won't be playing in the car. This one won't be playing in the car.
8:42, 8 hours 42 minutes from Grambling to Tallahassee.
We probably did it in 6 with this dude, man. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Speaking of Grambling, before we get to Mo.
Nah, we ain't got nothing else to speak about Grambling.
Well,
man.
Mickey Joseph just got fined. Mike, he went in on the refs on his coach's call.
He did.
He said, quote, "I've got to see what's going on with these penalties. When I look at the film, it's not making sense. It feels like they're making business decisions with their feelings.
Ooh.
I've got to figure out how to get past that. As a grown man, I don't know how to get past that with other grown men. Why they're making decisions with their feelings. It puts us in a bad situation, but I've got to be a better head coach." He went on to say, quote, "They can take it the way they want to take it. They can fine me. They can do what they want. It's some BS calls." Only he didn't say BS. He said the real word. The SWAC has weighed in, and they did fine him $5,000, Mike.
Yeah.
Is this much ado about nothing, or is there's something to this? Is this just a coach expressing frustration at officiating, hoping to get a better whistle in the next couple of games to end the season?
Now, having said, I'll say this first. I did not send a check to Grambling to contribute to this donation, right, for the Mickey Joseph Fine Fund. He was only fined $5,000.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a statement, you got to hit him a little harder than that because he came both guns blazing in that press conference, in that conference call with what he said. He questioned the integrity of the officiating. Not only did he question the call, he questioned the motive of the referee for making a call and kind of said it was a business decision. I don't know what he meant by that, but you can't even infer that there's improper things going on at the officiating level. I'm surprised Charles McClellan, the commissioner, we've had him on this show multiple times, didn't come down with a little bit more of a hammer on Mickey Joseph in that situation, especially when the coach is going to say, whatever the fine is, I'm going to pay it anyway.
The quote, the best part, I didn't even get that.
Yeah.
I know they're going to shoot me a fine. I've got the money to pay it, so bury it. Like, whoa.
See, when you come like that, okay, then I got a smooth $50,000 for you right here. All right, I'm gonna fine you, a quarter of your contracted salary right there, and see how you feel about that. Because what happens is now, if that's all they got to do is pay $5,000, what happens when the next coach has something to say? And the next coach,
there's a lot of outspoken coaches.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches with attitude,
and then your officiating is already kind of under scrutiny a lot too. So. Yeah, you got to hit him a little bit harder than that. But if you're Mickey Joseph, now it's time to go win, man. You got to win out now. And I think you're out of it. I think Grambling, we are out of the race in the West, unless something crazy happens over the last month. But, at this point, man, there's a season that went up, and I rode the wave when it was up, and I jumped off the bandwagon like CJ when it was down. So, hey, man, it's them now, right? I'll wait for the next season to get back on that bus, boy.
We got Mo Carter, Fox 54 News sports director, joining us. He's on the call for the Alabama State Alcorn State game. Speaking of SWAC West and Grambling's chances dwindling chances in that division of the SWAC. We'll get his thoughts on that race, the SWAC East, SWAC Championship, the game that he's calling, players to be on the lookout for as it pertains to the Deacon Jones Trophy, and so much more. You're listening to HBCU Huddle right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
John Cena was spilling life lessons on this stream, bro. So the best thing I watched all week, John Cena on the Cassinet stream. By the way, he stole your hairdo. You got to make a phone call.
I was about to say, you showed me a little bit of this clip because I saw the messy room, and the only thing I could see is John Cena's hair. I mean, come on, bro.
He stole your bar.
It's
he stole
literally identical.
He stole your flow, bar for bar, word for word.
How is mine more gray than his, though?
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Deadpool and Wolverine, streaming November 12th on Disney+.
That's the whole package right there.
It's the biggest R-rated film of all time.
Come again?
It's action-packed,
Us? A team? Next level.
glorious fun, Marvel's biggest triumph,
This is what I'm talking about.
hilarious,
Something funny, Bob?
and verified hot on Rotten Tomatoes.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you?
Deadpool and Wolverine, streaming November 12th on Disney+.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome back in HBCU Huddle. CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace. We ended the last segment talking something about Grambling State and Coach Mickey Joseph getting fined, and that transition into the races in the SWAC West and SWAC East. Glad to be joined now by Mo Carter, the sports director of Fox 54 News. Mo is on the call, has been on the call for a handful of SWAC games already this season. He's on the call for Alabama State versus Alcorn State. Mo, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well, man. Just trying to get a little rest before this crazy stretch of November games are upon myself in the upcoming weeks.
What's your November stretch?
So my November stretch is the Port City Classic, Alabama State against Alcorn State.
That's this
upcoming weekend.
Okay.
I'll have a bye, quote unquote, and then I'll have Alabama State playing host to Jackson State on the 16th, followed by Alabama State hosting Prairie View on the 23rd. Then Thanksgiving week, my wife and I are celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's all about blessings, man. And so we'll be going or whatever for that. But then by the time we get back on Black Friday, we'll be in New Orleans for the Bayou Classic. And then I'll be on the HSRN radio call for the Bayou Classic with Mark Gray.
Oh man, Mo, you sound super busy, and you sound like the perfect guy to talk to as we take a look at the SWAC West standings, Mo. It once again, the SWAC West is a jumbled up mess of teams. It looks like Southern is in the driver's seat. Well, not looks like, Southern is in the driver's seat. If I ask you to put on or pull out rather your crystal ball and start making some predictions as to what's going to happen in the SWAC West, who do you like in that division?
Right now, I would say, my alma mater Southern is probably, the favorite to go down the stretch or whatever, especially since they have probably I'm not going to say the easier schedule, but they have the schedule in front of them that probably looks the most relevant when it comes to getting, a whole lot of wins. Of course, they're going to take on Alabama A&M this upcoming week here in Huntsville. Unfortunately, I can't make that because, I'm being sent to the other side of the state of Alabama for another game. But, but then after that, I know for sure the Jags, they've got, let me see, I had it just pulled up.
Southern's got Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Grambling State to end the year. Alcorn State, who Southern beat, so Southern has a tiebreaker between the two because Southern beat Alcorn State. They have, Alcorn State does, Alabama State this week, Texas Southern, Prairie View A&M, and then they end with Jackson State, Mo.
So the schedule is more favorable when it comes to wins.
Yeah.
When you really take a look at it, and of course they do have the head-to-head for when it comes to beating Alcorn for homecoming 2 weeks ago now. But clearly we've seen crazier things happen in the West. Somebody asked Coach Terrence Graves yesterday in his press conference. I got a chance to take a look at this morning, and he just said clearly they have to do it, game by game, because a lot of teams clearly they're out of the race, and the best thing they can do for their season is to knock out somebody else and then kind of spoil things for their portions of the season. So you have to kind of really have that mindset. But also I'll say this, really, for Alcorn State this week in the West, I mean, you kind of take a look at it like this. They've got a pretty tough slate coming down the stretch. Games against Alabama State this week. Later on in the year, they'll take on Jackson State. And basically, the Braves are in must-win territory each and every week from here on out.
Yeah, Mo, when you talk about that, and that was going to lead to my next question is, you see that we just broke down the SWAC West, but when you look at the East, it's the same kind of situation, same kind of scenario where there's a level of parity in the SWAC this season that I don't think I've seen in quite some time, where we're a month left and both divisions are still almost as wide open as they were, give or take one or two teams, almost as wide open as they were when the season started.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. I know we've been talking about the Wild Wild West for so many years, but of course, the East is still unclear. Yes, Jackson State is undefeated, but they do go to Alabama State in a couple of weeks. And honestly, from what I've seen with Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. and the Hornets, they're on an upward trajectory. So considering the fact that Jackson State is going to have to go to Montgomery in a game that will be pivotal in the SWAC East standings, if Alabama State wins that game, all of a sudden you have 3 one-loss teams if Florida A&M continues to do their thing as well, going into the last 2 weeks of the season, with Florida A&M having 1 loss, Alabama State having 1 loss, and Jackson State having 1 loss. And in that scenario, we're looking at Jackson State had beat FAM head-to-head. FAM beat Alabama State head-to-head, but then Alabama State would have beat Jackson State head-to-head. And then after that, we're going to need Andrew Roberts to send out those tiebreakers.
I think the tiebreaker. I think the tiebreaker comes down to your record against the other division. So whatever that record looks like. But if all 3 of those teams only have 1 loss to each other, then you can throw that one out the window. And then, Mo, to your point,
chaos.
Then it's chaos, man. I don't know what to do after that.
And then to add to that, Mo, with Florida A&M having that game against Alabama A&M now rescheduled for after the Florida Classic now, it's almost like the SWAC West the SWAC East might not be decided until the day after everything else is done, right? Yep. It's kind of crazy when you look at that. But going into this game that you're talking about, that you're going to be on the call for, when you break down Alabama State's season, how do you look at sort of, they had the injury, they had the promise coming out of Media Day as the number 1 team in the conference. Then they had the adversity with the injuries at the quarterback position. They went really, really young. The defense was still pretty consistent. The offense has still kind of been all over the place. And now you're seeing them kind of regain their footing. What has their season been like? And how much of a remarkable job is it from Eddie Robinson Jr. to be able to keep this thing together when it seemed like it was ready to fall apart?
Look, I talked to Coach Robinson last week at the Magic City Classic press conference in Birmingham, just a little chit-chat with him prior to everything going down. And he said it's been a whirlwind of the season, but he also said this, people counted them out because of the offensive stuff. But he was like, remember, I'm a defensive guy. I'm going to build my strengths on defense. And that's how Alabama State has won a lot of games, playing very, very good defense and then setting up their offense in good situations. Situation definitely was true on Saturday in the Magic City Classic. I mean, they were able to get 3 turnovers from Alabama A&M, including a pick 6. So, that put Alabama A&M in a bad spot or whatever, being down 27-3. They tried to make a comeback, late, but it just wasn't enough in that scenario. I think Kareem Key is coming to his own, starting as a wide receiver, moving back over to quarterback, a position he had not played since like high school. So, like I said, I think they're coming to their own. The defense literally is putting him in good position. And the offense is starting to now do enough to make some things happen. And with that being said, as long as your defense is playing well and your offense can get you some points and the special teams get you some points as well, Alabama State continues to just be on the rise, especially as they get ready for a pretty impressive / solid stretch for them in the month of November.
One of the players I'm looking forward the most to seeing in this matchup between Alabama State and Alcorn State is True Thompson, star defensive lineman for Alabama State. Do you have some players, Mo, that you're looking forward to seeing in this matchup? And not just in this matchup, also, who are some standout players in the SWAC right now to this point of the season in your mind?
Let's start off with this game right here. Let's go with Alabama State's defense. Of course, Thompson is definitely one of them. But I think when you're an opposing offense facing Alabama State, you got to take a look at a couple of guys. You got to know what Amon Scarborough is on the field. Usually the guy lines up at safety. He'll come down, look like he's about to play a linebacker. He'll be on the defensive line, come rush, blitz. The guy is like a leader on the team when it comes to tackles, interceptions, and forced turnovers. Also, Rico Dozier, the all-SWAC selection from last year, who was at Pine Bluff that transferred over to Alabama State. He's another one that for sure you're taking a look at. On the other side of things for Alcorn State, for example, their quarterback really, really makes them go. We're talking about Xavier Vaughn. He's got over 1,000 yards passing, over 600 yards rushing, and he's got 13 touchdowns on the season. He wants to get the ball either to Jacorian Sewell, this running back who's got over 500 yards and a couple of TDs, or Tavarius Griffin, who I was very impressed with in the homecoming game against Southern. Well, Southern's homecoming game, because he used to play quarterback, and they move him to tight end, H-back, or whatever. Dude's like 6'3", like 225. Like, he is huge. He looks like a man for sure, and they're trying to get him the ball in all ways, shapes, and forms. So I'm pretty sure Coach Robinson is keying in on where Griffin lines up at, and also where Vaughn is lining up at as well. So I'm definitely going to be taking a look at those guys this upcoming weekend when it comes down to the Alabama State Alcorn Port City Classic, and I kind of almost feel like it's going to be a win and you stay in the race type game. Alcorn cannot afford to lose another game, and Alabama State definitely cannot afford to lose another game when it comes to these division standings.
You certainly are correct in that. There's it's put up or shut up time at this point, and that's the way you want it to be in a conference like the SWAC. You want every single game to matter. You want the intensity to be there every single time. My last one for you is this, and I'm gonna get your predictions on these. Number one, who do you see ending up in the SWAC championship game? So give me your East and your West based on what you see right now. Give me your coach of the year and give me your player of the year in the SWAC. So those three things I want your your prediction on what you see.
Oh man, you put me on the spot right there. Okay, if I had to say from what I've seen this year so far, I think you're probably going to get a Southern Jackson SWAC championship right now. But of course, that's going to be very, very dependent on what happens on the 16th down there in Montgomery. So I think right now you get Southern Jackson, but I would not be surprised if you get Southern Alabama State either. So we'll just kind of just see on that. Coach of the year, it's definitely got to go to Jackson State's coach. I think he's been doing a phenomenal job, in the post Deion Sanders era. For TC Taylor, he's a homegrown guy, played at Jackson State or whatever. This is his dream job, and he's living his dream to keep these guys going. He said one thing a couple of weeks ago to me in one of our pre-media week stuff as we were getting ready for a game. And he said that one thing about his team, he's not building this team to win week by week. He's building this team to win in December. And right now, they're in a good spot to go with that. Player of the year, it's such a toss-up right now. I would say it's offensively, it's probably Daniel Richardson of Florida A&M right now, because even though, he had the turnover that led to that Jackson State touchdown or whatever that really became the deciding factor in that game, he has played solid from week to week. From top to bottom, and considering the fact that he didn't even join the team until after spring, and it shows that he's definitely got a lot of connections and doing well with the Rattlers and still have them in a winning position. I would say he's probably your offensive player of the year, at least from who I've seen, but clearly the SIDs and the coaches, they'll make the final decision on that come December.
I'd go with, if it was me, Mekhi Hagans over at Arkansas Pine Bluff is a star at wide receiver. I know Pine Bluff isn't going to have the wins that necessitates the individual awards and the ultimate team sport, but that's been the best player in the SWAC to me, bar none. I will entertain conversations if you guys want to, but I think it is him. Now, that's not how these awards are going to go. I would think Jacobian Morgan. That would be my pick, because I'm with you, Mo. I think Jackson State wins the SWAC. Jackson State wins the SWAC East, wins the SWAC Conference. Their quarterback, Jacobian Morgan, is putting up good numbers while Jackson State is winning games as well. I would pick him. Jackson State did beat FAMU. Granted, it was at Jackson State, but still, I would take Morgan over the homie down at FAMU. But I can't be mad at any of those picks, Mo.
And no problem, man. Look, and also here's the other thing too, CJ. Clearly, yeah, I think Morgan. I can almost put Richardson and Morgan as 1A and 1B. Your guy Higgins is definitely, he'll be all SWAC easily. He may be
absolutely, he's all SWAC. He should be FCS All-American.
All-American with the numbers he's putting up or whatever. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be, Richardson and Morgan as 1A, 1B. It's really going to just come down to what the SIDs and what the coaches really, really think at the end of the year. I mean, we've had these scenarios before or whatever where, such and such put up the good numbers, but such and such had the win. So, we'll definitely see. But these last 4 to 5 weeks will certainly not only decide the team stuff, but I think it's going to decide a lot of individual awards as well as we get into the nitty-gritty of the SWAC season.
Mo, where can everybody find you at?
Absolutely, man. On X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mo Carter Fox 54. Same on Facebook as well. And then any content you want to see online, you can just go to fox54.com and click on the sports tab. You see all a lot of our stuff. You can also type in WZDX Fox 54 on YouTube to see a lot of our content that is being pushed out with our coverage of Alabama A&M, University of North Alabama, aka UNA, Alabama Huntsville, and of course the SEC schools like Alabama and Auburn as well. And of course, got a chance to see Alabama take on Penny Hardaway in Memphis the other night too. Yep. That was a pretty cool experience here at the Von Braun Center.
Absolutely. Mo, what channel is the Alabama State Alcorn State game on?
It will be airing live on ESPN Plus via the ESPN app.
Awesome. Mo, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us today. We appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Travel, gentlemen. Always
Safe travels.
Appreciate you guys. Absolutely. And keep up the good work.
You do the same. That is Mo Carter, Fox 54 News sports director, kind enough to join us. Again, family member of the show. He's been on more than once now, Mike.
Yes.
That's family right there.
That's it.
That's family. When we before we get to the players of the week, last week we talked about I gave out some awards for the mid-season in the HBCU football sphere. Who is a player, who are some players who have caught your eye as we head down the final home stretch. The final month of the football season is like this weekend, right? Like that's it. After this weekend, October 31st is Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Friday is November 1st, and we're into the final month. Who are some players who have stood out to you?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you talk about, how the landscape and the most impactful players, you mentioned one, man, Jacobian Morgan, right? From Jackson State, the quarterback there, to be in that position, to do what he's doing, and to be, it's such it matters at Florida A&M, and it matters at Jackson State, probably more so than it matters at a lot of other HBCUs. And to be a quarterback at either one of those schools, you're bringing on yourself a level of scrutiny and week to week that not many other players at this level face. So for him to go out there week in and week out and continue to win, to continue to put up the numbers, to continue to have that balance, I agree, man. I think that's the player right now that stands out the most to me is the Jackson State quarterback, Jacobian Morgan. And it's to me, I don't even think it's close. Daniel Richardson, I saw him up close. I interviewed him after the MEAC SWAC Challenge. I like his mentality. He almost, it's funny because he almost reminds me a lot of Cam Ward, the quarterback at Miami.
Just
in terms
cool.
of, just real calm, cool, knows how to make big plays. But the edge, if I had to give it to one, it would be him.
Absolutely. As we take a look at this week's Box to Roll polls, let's go to my ballot.
Yes, sir.
First, I've got not a whole lot changed for me. Virginia Union did get into my ballot, Mike. I've got North Carolina Central 1, Tennessee State 2, Jackson State 3, FAMU at 4, South Carolina State 5. There's a big matchup with South Carolina State and North Carolina Central coming up. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Johnson C. Smith, the only remaining undefeated HBCU, at 6, Hampton 7, Alabama State 8, Morgan State 9, Virginia Union 10. Over in the Box to Row poll, which that ballot is a part of. This week, the top 7 remain the same. And all of last week's teams, thanks to Donald Ware for pointing this out, all of last week's teams remained in the poll this week. So you got North Carolina Central, who's getting 19 first place votes at 1, Jackson State with 1 first place vote at 2, Tennessee State 3, FAMU 4, South Carolina 5, Johnson C. Smith 6 with the first place vote, Mike. 7 is Hampton, 8 is Alabama State, 9 Virginia Union, 10 is Southern. Any qualms with any of that, Mike?
I love that top 6.
Okay.
And yours as well too. Like they both speak to me in ways where you can shuffle some of those teams around and put it in any kind of order you want, and I'll be like, okay, I see why this is the number 1 team. I think, this weekend that is going to shake up a little bit. Because it just has to. You have some of these teams that are going to be playing head-to-head now, and some teams that are going to be playing basically for their season. So I'm looking forward to this weekend more so than any weekend since the week 0 that you love so much, CJ. I know how you feel about week 0.
Can't stand it.
The first week of the season, man, is always an exciting time. But this one right here is where the rubber truly meets the road. And, it's going to be some big-time major clashes this weekend.
And one of the biggest games, my game of the week this weekend, is South Carolina State versus North Carolina Central. You're talking about the 2 highest scoring teams in the MEAC. Both teams averaging the most yards per game in the MEAC, 1 and 2. Eric Phoenix of South Carolina State, star quarterback, against Walker Harris of North Carolina Central, star quarterback. South Carolina State's got a great defensive line led by Jaden Broughton, who leads the MEAC in sacks per game and is 7th in the nation in total sacks. Also, they got Ashad Hall, tied for 2nd in the MEAC in sacks per game and 12th in the nation in total sacks. North Carolina Central, it'll come down to this, I think, Mike, who can South Carolina State convert enough on third downs? North Carolina Central allowing opponents to convert on just 28% of third downs. That's 7th best in the nation. That is my game of the week. Is there anything that excites you in this game or other games around the nation this week?
Well, hold up. So that's our game of the week.
That's the game of the week.
All right, because we didn't
do a graphic this week, Mike. We didn't do a graphic this week
because I didn't want to dive all the way in until I knew for sure.
You want to know who those alumni are. That's what you want to know, Mike Wallace. I know what you want.
I want to see where you was going. Hey, you can't rob the people of that every week, man. That's some fun stuff. Man, you know what? That game is basically going. That's the MEAC.
That's the MEAC.
That's the MEAC right there. And I know they still have 3 more games of conference because it's all conference play in the MEAC right now because you only have 6 teams involved.
Yeah, Mike. Finally, we get MEAC conference games.
Yeah, man. So it's, but this is going to be an important game, and we're going to have our picks in a minute. So I'm not going to give my pick right now, but yes, that game stands out to me more locally and closer to where we are. This Tennessee State game against UT Martin is this is Eddie George's most important game as head coach of Tennessee State. They are 2nd in the Big South OVC right now. They're a game behind Southeast Missouri State with 1 loss. Southeast Missouri State is undefeated in the Big South OVC. And this is the same spot Tennessee State literally got to last season with everything in front of them to win, to get to the conference championship. And they lost to UT Martin at UT Martin after having a first half lead. Now UT Martin comes to Tennessee State. This game is going to be at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. So Tennessee State, if they win this game, man, I'm telling you, this is the biggest game. This is the biggest game of their season, maybe the biggest game that they've had in a decade. Now that I go back and think about it. So that's the other game that means a lot and resonates to me. And then you go from there, man. It's some big games in the SWAC as well. SWAC as well too.
Does it feel the same? This doesn't feel the same to me. Like last year, Tennessee State, you brought it up. Tennessee State got to this point, and then it was okay. Here comes UT Martin, and the season kind of crumbles a little bit from there. It just I went into last season. I remember thinking, yeah, they're 6-2, but they're not a real 6-2 team. I can't remember why I felt that way. I think the quarterback play was
they were still switching quarterbacks and
like lackluster.
Yeah, they couldn't make plays down the field.
Couldn't push the ball down the field. Defensively, they were great. They had the defensive player of the year and all of the FCS along the defensive line last year, right? Yeah. So defensively, they were solid. It was just the offense left a whole lot to be desired. And I feel like last year, they get, like you said, they got to this point. I was waiting on the wheels to fall off. I knew it would come off eventually. I was waiting on them to come off.
That's the hater right there speaking, right? That's the haterade coming out right there.
Maybe it was, but the wheels did come off. I might be a hater, but I was right.
He was accurate, yeah.
But this year doesn't feels like them things is bolted on there pretty damn good.
It does.
It feels like this team is built for this moment. And Tennessee State, with one conference loss already to Tennessee Tech,
and they shouldn't have lost that game.
Shouldn't have lost that game. Yes. But the team immediately behind them, I guess they would technically be tied with one loss each in conference, I think.
Yeah.
UT Martin immediately behind them.
Yeah.
You win this game, you stay in the race, and then you win out. And Tennessee State is in the FCS playoffs because they play last game of the year. They play Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, that's a de facto championship.
That's the championship game right there. So Tennessee State wins out.
If both teams win out. And even if the loser of that game is still in the race to get an at-large bid too, if you think about it. Like if both teams went out, Southeast Missouri State and Tennessee State.
I'm curious to know how they would view. Oh, if both teams went out.
Yeah, both teams went out. Until they play each other.
Until they play each other.
Yeah.
And then let's say Tennessee State loses.
Right.
I wonder how the committee views that North Dakota State loss. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Who else is going to beat North Dakota State though?
That Tennessee State got
They did. They got boat raced. They got boat raced.
Ran off the field.
They did.
So maybe Southeast Missouri State can lay claim if Tennessee State wins out and Southeast Missouri State has one loss to Tennessee State.
To justify
I think you can justify pitting Southeast Missouri State in.
I see.
I can. If you put Tennessee State in with 2 losses, 1-2 North Dakota State, who's a really, really good, a
top 5 team,
great team,
and then another loss to Southeast Missouri State,
who is a conference champion, top 5,
yeah.
right? Yeah. I wouldn't be able to say anything other than but Tennessee State got the hell beat out of them by North Dakota State, right? That's the only thing there. But I think Tennessee State, if you played that game right now at North Dakota State, do it the same way. They're traveling up there to play them. I don't think it's what was it, a 30-point, 40-point beatdown?
It might still be.
I don't think that it is.
It's tough. It's tough to win there.
Yeah. No. I'm not. Tennessee State is going to lose. I want to be clear.
Yeah,
they're not getting beat like that.
I would hope they can add a touchdown or two, right? Like to make it. And I was hoping that in real time, right? Because we spoke with Draylon Ellis right before that game.
Yep.
And I just said, listen, man, go up there, get healthy, stay healthy, and then run the rest of your schedule through. But this game, Tennessee, UT Martin is a nemesis. Like that team was in. I think they won the OVC last year. So UT Martin is a team that you just can't, just shrug off. That game is at home. You have everything going for you. I tell you what, man, if I was not on the road, and probably by the time you're hearing this, I'm on the road right now in Philadelphia with the Grizzlies. You know how we did with the Maxwell, right?
Maxwell was a great show, Mike. I don't know if you were there for Maxwell. It was incredible. It was so
good. By the time you guys hear this, I'm going to be with the Grizzlies on the road again. If I was not there, I would definitely be in Nashville because I think that game is going to be one of the ones that you just do not want to miss.
Absolutely, absolutely. One pack. We're making an audible. We're not going to take a break. We're just going to keep this thing rolling. If that's okay with you, one pack, I don't think we have to take a break. Let's go through the pick sixes, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's look at these games from last week. Mike's overall record is 42-12.
Ooh, say that again.
It's 42-12, Mike.
Man. And that's what me continuing to pick my lousy ass Grambling State Tigers right now. They cost me 3 straight losses, man. That would be 45-9.
They were 4-2 on the. He's 4-2 on the week. Last week, Grambling did let them down, falling to Texas Southern. Alabama State knocked off Alabama A&M in the Magic City Classic, and then everything else was a hit for Mike. On the other hand, myself, I was also 4-2 last week.
There you go.
Let that be pointed out. But I sit there with a measly record of what's my record? 34-19. So yeah, Mike,
That's
you
not
pulled
bad.
away.
That ain't bad.
You pulled away, Mike. This thing I think is over. Alabama State over Alabama A&M. That's a pride pick of mine. I was like, yes, I knew I would get that one. And then,
but come on, you
also
picked Winston-Salem State over Johnson C. Smith.
Johnson C. Smith.
You thought prejudices, it was fool's gold?
Prejudices, Mike. That's all it is. Johnson C. Smith is so good,
man.
They
come
are
on, man.
Built.
Come on, man.
I thought Winston-Salem had a little bit more in the
It's reasonable
the tank.
to say that that would have been a good game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a blowout either.
No.
Like it was close. I think it might have been a one possession game.
I'd have to double check the score,
but yeah, man. Yeah.
That stuff, the Grambling, Texas Southern one really made me feel bad.
I think we both done with Grambling.
We'll find out. Let's go to your picks for this week's Pick Six, Mike.
All right. One pack. You gonna have. There you go. See, one pack is
ready.
One pack is ready. She knows
baby.
I done forgot who I picked.
One pack did one show, and it was a show, boy. I went down there and hollered at the homie One Pack from Idaho, Queen of Idaho, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm ready this time. Man. You're not gonna trip me up.
Idaho,
One Pack, good to go."
So all right. Before I get to the rest of my picks, you will be able to know. So One Pack is from Idaho.
One Pack is from Idaho.
I know one city in Idaho is Boise. Is she from Boise?
No.
Where's she from?
An hour away from Canada. That's not the name of the city, though, One Pack. What's the name of the city? Saint Point? Sand Point. She's from Sand Point, Idaho.
Sand Point,
Idaho. Shout out to Sand Point, Idaho.
Is that even on that map behind you,
No,
CJ?
this is just a capital map, Mike.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if we did like a map of Idaho, Sand Point wouldn't be on there either. I'm assuming Sand Point is right here by Washington, right? Are you closer to Washington or Montana up there in the northern tip? One Pack, you got to let us know. She is closer to Washington.
Okay.
So she is the pointed little part up top, but closer to Washington, about an hour away.
So it's kind of like a little tri-state area then. It's Washington, Idaho, and
Canada.
And Canada.
Yeah.
Well, not tri-state. just like here, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas.
If Arkansas was its own country, yes, that's exactly what it is.
All right, let's get back on track, man.
Thank you, One Pack doing a great job.
We got 47 minutes into the show without getting off the rails, and we finally got off the rails.
We got to get two directors down there. I need One Pack and Kyra one day. Double the directors up. W your directors, W your fun.
Big time game Thursday night, ESPN2. Hopefully, man, by the time you guys hear this, we'll still be ahead of this game instead of behind it. But North Carolina Central takes out South Carolina State. But I would not be surprised if that's an upset and it goes the other way. Chinnisberry, we talk about him every single week. I think he's the HBCU Coach of the Year. I don't even think it's close from there, but I'm going to go NC Central over South Carolina State right there. Next up, Jackson State over our guy, Coach Hampton, and the best player in the SWAC you said was?
Makai
Hagans, that wide receiver. I think he's going to be playing on Sundays whenever he gets eligible for the draft or puts himself into the draft. But Jackson State is just rolling too strong right now. They have one of the best offenses that we're going to see in the HBCU ranks right now. Next up after that, let me go ahead and say, Bethune-Cookman, do your business. Handle your business. Handle your business. Now, there's no way. Absolutely no way Grambling State is going to lose this game to Bethune-Cookman. There is no way Grambling State is going to lose this game to Bethune-Cookman. I'm telling you right now, America.
Is that Bethune?
So when this happens and I'm wrong, this is going to be cut for a commercial and I'm going to look like a fool. So I'm going to say that up front, but I'm going Grambling State over Bethune-Cookman because as mad as I am at my Tigers right now, they're not going to let me down this far. They've already let me down, but they're not going to let me rock bottom down. So we'll go to the next game.
I had to write that time down just to make sure we get it just in case. Wait, give me a single shot on Mike. Mike, say it again for the clip.
Be in there. You can be in there.
No, I don't need to be in there for that.
There is no way that Grambling State University is going to let me down against Bethune-Cookman. Yes, the game is in Daytona Beach, but Grambling State will not lose this game. And if they lose it, I'm willing to look like the fool because this is going to be cut and become a commercial right after this game, and it's going to be on our next set of commercials. And Grambling better not make me look that bad. If they make me, they already let me down. But if they let me down that low, hey, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. All now, right, back to my game. Southern over Alabama A&M. Southern is proven that they're legit, man. This is a first-year coach doing it, and he took over a team that was down and out. At the end of last year, they beat Grambling in the the Bayou Classic, and then he's been on a roll ever since. They're the surprise team to me in the SWAC. Southern over Alabama A&M. They go ahead and put a fork in Alabama A&M season right there with that game. Next up, Norfolk State came out with a big-time win last week. This is going to be another signature opportunity. This might be a win that could save Dawson Odom's job up at Norfolk State. I don't know if he's justifiable in terms of expecting or needing a contract extension at this point. But I think if he wins this game, you do hold on to him because you see some promise that these guys got better over the course of the season. Big-time game right here. Their season is still ahead of them because of the way the MEAC schedule plays out. And last but not least, Tennessee State over UT Martin. I'm picking this one with my heart. Sometimes you got to beat like this. This reminds me of the old Bulls and Pistons, right?
Yeah.
The Bulls and Pistons, Michael Jordan used to get beat up and knocked out all the time by the bad boy Pistons until he finally got over the hump. This is Tennessee State's chance to finally get over the hump against a nemesis that's only located, a couple of hours away. A lot of people from Memphis are interested in this game because they have a strong alumni base. Both schools do right in this Memphis area. I think this is going to be my most intriguing game of the week. And Tennessee State, Draylon Ellis, Eddie George, this is your moment. You got to go all out and go ahead and take care of business.
All right, good picks, Mike. I will get things started on my end. I will take North Carolina Central over South Carolina State in what's going to be a really fun game on Thursday night on ESPN2 in prime time. This is going to be great. I got my popcorn ready. I can't wait to sit down and watch that contest. I will take Jackson State over Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Jackson State is my pick right now to win the SWAC. Not just SWAC East, but the whole SWAC. I think that Morgan and the run game and that defense and the coaching job TC Taylor's doing, that would be my Coach of the Year candidate.
Okay.
If we had to pick right now, would be TC Taylor and the job he's done at Jackson State. Give me them over Pine Bluff. I will take Grambling State over Bethune-Cookman because of what Mike said. I won't say it because I don't want to get clipped off, but because of what Mike said. Give me Southern over Alabama A&M in that contest. I believe a bit more in Southern right now than I do in Alabama A&M, and Southern has everything to play for. I think they know that, and they come out guns a-blazing. Morgan State over Norfolk State for me. I think Morgan State is a bit of a better team. Now, I will say this is where it gets fun. The last 3 games for Norfolk State: Morgan State, Delaware State, South Carolina State. If some wackiness happens, they need some wackiness, right? Like they need stuff to happen like South Carolina State beat North Carolina Central, and then the wheels fall off for South Carolina State the rest of the season in the MEAC. But like they could they're still alive in the MEAC race.
Everybody is. Yeah.
Everybody's still alive in the MEAC race by virtue of how they do the schedule, because it's only 6 teams.
Yeah.
Even at 3-6, they're 1-1 in the MEAC right now. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye on that. And then last but certainly not least, give me Tennessee State over UT Martin.
You joining me. You joining me on this one.
This feels different than last year. We talked about it earlier in the show. I believe way more in this version of Tennessee State than I did in last year's version of Tennessee State. I think Coach Eddie George has done a phenomenal job up there, and it would be TC Taylor 1A, Eddie George 1B for me at this point in the season. But give me Tennessee State over UT Martin. So those are our picks for the week. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, however you're doing, consuming this media. We appreciate it. Mike, you got any final words for the people?
Hey, man, stay safe. It's big time. We got obviously the holiday, not holiday, but I don't consider Halloween a holiday. But
what is it?
Halloween on Thursday, election next week.
I'll be there.
Safe. Be safe. Again, man, it's an important time. It's an important time, and then we're heading into the holiday stretch with our family. So enjoy one another, man. I'm looking forward to another great episode next week when we can see how right and wrong we both were on the HBCU Huddle.
It's been a while. We need to get Donald Ware, speaking of family members of the show. We need to get Donald Ware on.
It's holiday season. We got to get family.
We got to get family in, man. We got to get
family. That's when your cousins come into town.
That's when they come through. That's when they come through. Y'all go on those walks. If you know, you know. Thank you guys so much for listening. Follow Mike on Twitter, my Mike Check. I am at Con Radicalness on Twitter. Thank you guys for hanging out with us in the Built Ford Tough studios. We'll talk to you next week. Everybody, take care.